Mark, good evening. Thanks very much for coming through. Now, nothing is really surprising about these figures, really.
Yes, good evening. Indeed, nothing is very surprising. I mean, we've been singing this song, and for the past 20 or odd years, we have been pursuing the same economic trajectory that was not really seeking to change or upset the economic structure that we inherited from the apartheid. So, for us, nothing is surprising, except that we do think that it should serve as a wake-up call to the incoming government, because it's unlike if it was happening during the term of a government. Now you have an administration that is about to come in. I don't think that they have time. I mean, it's happening at a time when South Africans are very, very upset. And our view is that the government that is coming has no time but to fix this economy.
In your analysis, what brought us here?
Look, you remember that the South African economic structure or model of economy is something that we inherited, that was strategically and deliberately designed to exclude the majority of the population of this country, in particular the blacks. And those people who were in charge of the state at that time, they used the state-owned institutions deliberately to intervene in the economy, grow the economy to the extent that it empowered those that they wanted to empower, which is the minority. Our South African government since 1994, we didn't utilize the state-owned institutions to undo that which was done by those who came before us. What we did instead, we will have ideas about what an economic model should be, but we still want to rely on the private sector. What we embarked on, particularly around the year 2000 and so, we embarked on the process of privatizing all that which the state had as levers of intervening in the economy. We embarked on privatizing and outsourcing all the institutions that were in the state and the service that were being rendered by the state. Our view is that that is proven over and over again that it has not helped. Yes, there's a talk in this country that if you want the economy to grow, you must give more private sector a leverage hand. But we have been doing that thing for 25 years, and the economy keeps on not growing, the unemployment keeps on growing. We think that it's about time that we understand that unless and we uproot the economic structure that we inherited, we're going to continue on the downward spiral.
So two things arising from the answer you have just given. One is that those who have been in power over the past 25 years actually haven't done what you believe is what they should have done. So they are to blame, if I'm getting you correctly.
Everybody that has got the responsibility to grow the economy and sustain jobs in this country is to blame, which includes private sector. Remember, private sector have been given the leverage they've been crying for. Remember that the corporate tax has been reduced in this country. If you remember, at some point it was 34%, it's now around 28%, with the hope that the private sector is going to, or big corporate is going to create jobs, it's going to grow the economy. They've not been doing so. So remember that private sector has been on investment strike for over the years. So it's both the government and the private sector, but all we are saying is that it is high time that those who are in government realizes that as much as we need partnership with private sector, they have not been playing ball to the extent that unemployment rate has not been kept. Therefore, they need to take this within their hands, because it is the state that ultimately need to be accountable to the society, to the growing population, and to the growing unemployment. It is the state, it's not the private sector. Private sector only wants to make profit. So it's high time that the state must leverage on the state-owned institutions, must leverage and create financial institutions that are going to make sure that it finances the poor people when they want to create jobs, because it is only the small business institutions now that create jobs. The big corporates, they are now automating, they are using the machines, that the banks are now retrenching workers. So it's high time that we must assist the poor at the level of the rural areas, that they must create their own jobs.
Well, those who are in government are your allies, and I guess another question would be, are you leveraging on your relationship with them?
I wonder why you don't get tired about this question.
I'm not going to get tired of it, because let me tell you, I mean, over the past couple of months,
yes.
COSATU has been saying it's been out there campaigning for the African National Congress. You obviously have a reason to do that. Now, so it's a legitimate question to keep asking as to whether, I mean, you are leveraging on the relationship that you have with those that are in power.
Well, we do. We have been leveraging on a number of things. Of course, on the part of the economy, I must say it's not one of those that we've been succeeding. But it doesn't mean that we're not leveraging on any other aspects where that we engage as the alliance. But that is why we are saying now that even as when you look at the trend of the electorate response to the government, it has been showing that, in fact, the governing party is fast running out of time, because the people are now running out of patience. And as a result, that's why we are making a call to those who are coming in now in a few weeks' time, that they have no time to spend. They can't fix this thing within 2 years' time. They have to fix this immediately as they come in. One of the problems will have been that we do have economic models that from time to time from congresses, we do campaign for them to adopt it and become very progressive. But the issue has been the implementation of them. People have voted in this country for the past 20 years or so for progressive manifestos, but after the election, those manifestos get forgotten and something else gets implemented.
Have they at least taken you into confidence to say, well, this is what the sixth administration will do differently from the way it has been over the past 25 years?
Well, you know that we, for instance, in this past election, we've participated very extensively in the formulation of the manifesto. We have put things that we think needs to turn around. We have insisted that the resolutions that come from conferences of the ANC must find expression in the manifesto, and that must form part of the government policies as they move in. If you remember, we have now canvassed for what we call a reconfiguration of the alliance. In other words, gone are the days where they will sit alone on that other side and develop programs that are detached from the manifesto. The monitoring and the evaluation of the implementation of the manifesto, we have agreed this time around we have to do it as a collective. So that's what we think we want to play a more closer role. However, you must know that they've been meeting, for instance, just yesterday. They've been trying to finalize what the cabinets to put. Once they're done with that thing, then we'll have our time to engage and make sure that we will not going to develop new policies. The manifestos and the policies of the ANC are very clear. We need, as I said, to come. We have got many financial institutions that are here that can pull together and have a state-owned bank that can intervene in the state. Because now there's a debate about the Reserve Bank, for instance, a Reserve Bank that does not discipline the monopoly banks that are here. The banks that are not can't give you money to start a business because they know you want to compete with them. But they can give you money to buy a car, for instance. They can give you 500,000 to buy a car. But if you say, I want to open a filling station, they can't give you 500 because they know you are going to compete. We want state to take that part of financing of our people into its own hands so that it can improve the lives of our people.
We've run out of time, but I have to ask you this. The PIC is Africa's largest asset manager. It invests on behalf of the government employees' pension fund. Now, at what point do you as workers, and I'm saying it's like across federations, then get to influence the decisions on how and where to invest so that among the more important outcomes is actually the creation of jobs? You
will know that recently there's a public investment PIC in the amendment bill that has been signed into law now. It will be the first time, for instance, where workers are going to be allowed to sit in the board. That bill also makes provision for what we call the guidelines on investment. It is in that level where we're going to direct where also the PIC must invest. Also the issue of transparency, because over the past many years, if you remember, we have been fighting that workers, if there's one area that PIC does not invest in, is in the public service, where the primary depositors come from. They will invest everywhere else. They will develop malls. They will buy SAA. They will do every. But the workers are indebted in this country. But at the same time, there are very serious institutions that could, for instance, public servants are looking for government housing loans loans in order for them to have cheaper houses. But they can't. But they have huge of money on pensions money sitting with PIC. So we're glad that ultimately there's a bill that has been signed that is going to do exactly what you are saying. But I must say and admit that over the past few years, we have not been able to do that thing. That's why we have campaigned for the amendment bill that has been signed now.
Okay, that's why we're going to leave it for this evening. Thanks very much
Okay.
for coming through.